The Dark Curse of the Enchanted Forest. Once upon a time, in a small village on the edge of a deep forest, there lived a mother and her two daughters, Emily and Emma. Emily, the elder sister, was hardworking, kind, and always helped her mother with household chores. She spent her days cleaning, tending to the garden, and even lending a hand to the villagers. Emma, on the other hand, was lazy and often avoided any work, leaving her sister to do everything. Despite Emma's idleness, their mother loved both daughters deeply, hoping that one day Emma would change. One day, while sitting by an old well, Emily was carefully stitching a beautiful piece of embroidery she intended as a gift for her mother. Suddenly, she accidentally dropped her only needle into the well. Worried about not being able to finish her work, Emily tried to think of a solution. She felt she couldn't let her mother down. So she gathered her courage and decided to jump down into the well to retrieve the needle. But when she reached the bottom of the well, she was shocked to find herself in a magical garden, filled with vibrant flowers and bathed in a golden light that shimmered all around. The plants seemed to glow as if they had magical powers. Emily walked further, her heart filled with curiosity and wonder about this strange, enchanting place. As Emily continued down a path lined with fragrant blooms, she heard a faint whimper nearby. She paused, listening carefully, and soon found the source of the sound. A small white rabbit was struggling to pull a giant carrot out of the ground. Looking up, the rabbit noticed Emily and said in a weary voice, "Oh, kind girl, could you help me? This carrot is far too big, and I don't have the strength to pull it out." Emily smiled warmly and didn't hesitate to offer her help. Together, they tugged with all their might, and after several tries, they finally managed to pull the enormous carrot out of the ground. "Thank you so much," the rabbit said gratefully. "Because of you, I have food for today. If you ever need help, just call my name, and I'll be there." Emily thanked the rabbit and continued her journey, feeling joyful that she could help a friend in need. As she walked further, Emily spotted a beautiful, but withering, rose standing alone beside the path. The rose looked fragile, and its petals were beginning to wilt from a lack of water. When it saw Emily, it spoke softly. "Please, young girl, could you give me some water? Without it, I will surely fade away." Feeling compassion for the lovely rose, Emily searched for a nearby stream, cupped her hands, and carefully poured the water over the rose's roots. The rose drank eagerly, and with each sip, it regained its vitality and started to bloom again, filling the air with its sweet fragrance. "Thank you, dear girl," the rose said, deeply moved. "If you ever find yourself in danger, call upon me, and I will come to your aid." Grateful for the rose's kind words, Emily continued through the magical garden with a heart full of warmth. Emily soon found herself in front of a quaint but slightly worn cottage. Just as she stepped forward, an elderly woman appeared with a warm smile. She looked tired yet wise, and her eyes held a sparkle of kindness. "My dear child, would you like a place to rest?" the woman asked. "This house is small, but it has food and water. You may stay here if you agree to help me keep it clean every day. Emily quickly agreed, eager to lend a hand. She stayed in the cottage, diligently sweeping, cooking, and tending to the garden every day. The old woman grew fonder of her as each day passed, touched by Emily's kindness and dedication. After a while, Emily expressed her desire to return home. The woman smiled kindly and said, "You have proven yourself to be a kind and hardworking girl. Here is a set of golden clothes as a reward for your perseverance and kindness. Take them with you and return home." Emily left the enchanted garden in her beautiful golden outfit, her heart full of gratitude and joy. When Emily returned to the village, her golden attire caught Emma's eye, sparking envy in her heart. Emma thought that if she could also reach the magical garden, she too would receive treasures and beautiful clothing. Without hesitation, she rushed to the well and jumped in, expecting her own adventure. However, when she encountered the white rabbit and the rose along the path, she refused to help them, unwilling to waste her time on others. When she finally arrived at the old woman's cottage, the woman, noticing Emma's selfishness, gave her only a set of muddy clothes. Emma returned home in disappointment and frustration. When Emma returned from the magical garden in disappointment, the envy and frustration in her heart only grew stronger. She couldn't understand why Emily was rewarded while she received nothing but muddy clothes. Over time, this bitterness transformed into selfishness and resentment that darkened her spirit. One stormy evening, as Emma was alone in her room, a strange chill filled the air. Shadows crept along the walls, swirling and gathering until they formed a dark, ominous figure that loomed over her. The shadow whispered to Emma, its voice filled with malice. "You are jealous, aren't you? Why should Emily have everything while you have nothing? Embrace your envy. Let it grow, and I shall give you what you desire." But instead of fulfilling Emma's desires, the shadow began to follow her everywhere, growing stronger and darker each day. It haunted her, whispering in her ear, feeding her insecurities and amplifying her anger. Soon, the villagers noticed the shadow as well, and they began to avoid Emma, fearing the dark presence that surrounded her. Emma tried to flee from it, but no matter where she went, the shadow clung to her, intensifying whenever she acted selfishly or treated others poorly. Emily, seeing her sister's despair and the fear that the shadow caused in the village, knew she had to do something to help. She couldn't bear to see her sister suffer, no matter how poorly Emma had treated her in the past. With a heavy heart, Emily sought out the wise witch from the magical garden, hoping for guidance on how to save her sister. The witch listened patiently as Emily explained Emma's plight. After a long pause, the witch nodded and spoke in a gentle but serious tone. "Only courage and forgiveness can break this curse. Dear child, you must be willing to face the darkest parts of your sister's heart and forgive her completely. To do this, you will need to pass through 3 difficult challenges, each one testing your love and bravery. Are you prepared to do this?" Without a moment's hesitation, Emily nodded. Her love for her sister was stronger than any fear she might feel. The witch handed her a small amulet to protect her and sent her on her way, warning her that the path would be full of danger. Emily clutched the amulet tightly, her heart filled with determination. She knew the journey ahead would be perilous, but she would do whatever it took to free Emma from the darkness that had overtaken her. Emily's first challenge was to retrieve a precious gemstone from the lair of a fire dragon. This was no ordinary dragon, it was a creature of pure fire, its scales blazing like molten lava, and its breath capable of reducing entire forests to ashes. The dragon guarded the gemstone fiercely, for it contained a magical energy that could strengthen the dragon's flames. No one had ever entered its lair and lived to tell the tale. As Emily approached the entrance of the dragon's cave, she felt the heat radiating from within. The air was thick with smoke, and the walls of the cave glowed an ominous red. Despite her fear, Emily stepped inside, her hands trembling as she held the amulet close to her chest. She carefully made her way through the narrow, twisting passages, her eyes searching for any sign of the dragon or the gemstone. Finally, she saw it, a brilliant, shimmering gemstone resting on a pedestal in the heart of the cave. But as she reached out to take it, her foot brushed against a loose rock, and it clattered to the ground with a loud echo. In an instant, the dragon's fiery eyes snapped open, and it rose from its slumber with an ear-splitting roar. Flames erupted from its mouth, filling the cave with scorching heat. Emily felt the intense heat drawing closer, and she knew there was no escape. Just then, the rose she had helped in the magical garden appeared in her hand, glowing with a gentle light. The rose created a protective barrier around her, shielding her from the dragon's flames. Emily took a deep breath, steadied herself, and reached out to grasp the gemstone. With the gemstone in hand, she turned and ran as fast as she could, the dragon's angry roars echoing behind her. She narrowly escaped the cave, clutching the gemstone tightly as she made her way back to safety. The rose's protection faded as she exited, leaving her exhausted but unharmed. She had completed the first challenge, but she knew there were still 2 more to go. The second challenge led Emily to a murky, poisonous swamp that stretched as far as the eye could see. The air was thick with the smell of rotting vegetation, and a dense fog covered the ground, obscuring any safe paths. Venomous snakes slithered through the mud, and thorny, twisted plants grew in abundance, their sharp thorns coated with a deadly toxin. Emily took a cautious step into the swamp, her heart pounding as she tried to navigate the treacherous terrain. Each step was a gamble, for one wrong move could send her tumbling into the poisonous mire. She held her breath, moving slowly and carefully, her eyes darting around to avoid the snakes and the thorny plants. As she ventured deeper into the swamp, her foot slipped on a slick root, and she nearly fell into the thick mud. Just as she regained her balance, a familiar figure hopped into view. It was the white rabbit she had helped in the magical garden. The rabbit looked up at her with a reassuring smile. "Follow me, Emily," the rabbit said. "I know the safe paths through this swamp. But be careful, some of these plants have thorns sharp enough to pierce through anything." Emily felt a surge of relief as she followed the rabbit, carefully stepping where he indicated. With each step, they avoided hidden pitfalls, venomous snakes, and thorns. At one point, a snake lunged toward Emily, its fangs glistening with poison. But the rabbit bravely hopped in front of her, scaring it away with a loud squeak. As they reached the edge of the swamp, Emily turned to the rabbit, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly. "I don't know if I could have made it without your help." The rabbit gave her a gentle nod and disappeared into the mist, leaving Emily to face her final challenge alone. Though tired and shaken, she knew she had come too far to turn back now. Holding tightly to the amulet the witch had given her, she pressed on, ready to confront the dark curse and save her sister. When the curse was broken and the shadow vanished, Emma felt an enormous weight lift from her heart. Looking at her sister, her eyes filled with shame and guilt. "Emily, I'm truly sorry," Emma said, her voice trembling. "I was selfish and thought only of myself. Without your kindness and patience, I would have been lost forever. I don't deserve your love." Emily took her sister's hands, smiling gently, and said, "You're my sister, Emma, and I'll always love you. I just want you to understand that kindness and patience will help you overcome any difficulty. We are family, and family always stands together." Emma, tearful, promised, "I will change. I'll work hard to be better. I don't want to be a burden to you anymore." The two sisters held each other, their hearts united in love and forgiveness. Emma knew that Emily's kindness had given her a second chance, and she vowed never to take it for granted. With the curse lifted, Emily and Emma returned to their village. Their mother was overjoyed to see her daughters safe. Emma, filled with remorse, apologized to her mother and sister for all the harm she had caused. From that day on, she worked alongside Emily, helping with chores and learning to be kind and diligent. Emily and Emma grew closer, working together to support their mother and sell beautiful embroidered items at the market. With every stitch they made, the sisters bonded over their shared responsibilities, and their love for each other grew stronger. As time passed, the story of Emily's journey through the magical garden, her bravery in facing the fire dragon, her wisdom in crossing the poisonous swamp, and her unwavering love in confronting the dark shadow became a legend in the village. People told the tale to remind each other of the power of kindness, patience, and love. Emily, Emma, and their mother lived happily together, supporting one another and helping those in need. The challenges they had faced taught them the importance of family, forgiveness, and kindness. Their story became a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that true love and compassion could break any curse and overcome any darkness.